Hello everybody, I'm Krasi, and today I will talk about very important event, symbolical, historical, which took place yesterday in France, and this was the fire, the burning of the Notre Catholic Cathedral, which happened yesterday at 6:30 Central European Time in France, in Paris. This is a very important event because the fire in every culture has very particular significance, and the fire has symbolic importance, occultistic, esoteric. It would mean purification in many cultures. In my culture, I know that the Thracians the magicians would perform their magical rituals very often in front of the fireplace, because the fireplace was considered an altar. It had meaning of rebirth, purification, also a portal. So the fire is already a very ominous consideration. Let's also see what is burning, what bursted into fire yesterday. And this is the so-called Catholic, but let's see how Catholic actually it is, cathedral, the Gothic Cathedral of Notre Dame, which is one of the most important symbols of Paris, of France, of the French people. So look what I simply Googled online, and this was, I will share with you my screens, and I let you consider what exactly was burnt yesterday. So when you look at my simple Google search, which is Notre Dame entities, and look what I got here: demonic, scary, really scary entities of all kinds. Like here, the skull, and these strange entities that I will not I will not describe, and I leave this up to your judgment. How exactly Catholic, how spiritual this cathedral was, and how this cathedral was, to what extent it was supporting the spirituality of the people in France. So this is just to show you what actually was burned yesterday. And I will tell you that such entities and such symbols you can find all over the place, also inside the cathedral and in most of the Gothic cathedrals in all over Europe. Okay, so we will look at this from astrological perspective, and therefore I found the chart of France of the announcement of the 5th French Republic, which happened actually from time perspective quite recently in 1958. And I'm sharing with you my screen again, where I will show you the comparison between the chart of the French Republic, 5th French Republic, and the chart of yesterday, to see what is the significance of this event symbolically, in reality as well, and what could the meaning be as the consequences. So I am sharing with you once again my screen, and you can see here the two charts. Now, the first chart that I'm pointing at is the chart of the French Republic. This chart is available online. You can find it immediately. And you can see here that we're having Pisces, Virgo axis of the ascendant. Pisces is rising, and we're having the moon rising, and the moon is in a very particular degree, because the 21st degree of Pisces is powerful degree in terms of spirituality and empathy, but the moon doesn't like the ascendant. And when the moon is signifying the nation and the people, being on the ascendant is making the people very vulnerable. And since Saturn is expecting the ascendant to an exact degree, we can say that the people are very vulnerable towards manipulation and being easily suppressed by government and institutions because of the opposition of Saturn and Mars. So this is a very important thing to know. The same is valid from the placement of Ketu in the last degrees. Ketu is the tail of the dragon, which is the one we always related to it is related to kind of to limitations. It is related to to our past. It is related to the wisdom of the past lives, but it is certainly, when conjoined with the moon, is putting the people of France in a very, very vulnerable position. We can go very deep with this analysis, but here very important is to compare it with the chart of yesterday and to see something which is immediately making a very big impression, and this is the flipping of the charts, the flipping of the axes. Now, look here, we have in ascendant, descendant, Pisces, Virgo, which is the case of the yesterday's transit, is that this axis is flipped and the descendant became ascendant, and we're having the same on the midheaven, lower meridian. We're having the completely reversed chart, which always is a sign of something critical to take place. So something critical took place because you see complete flipping reversal of the charts of the natal chart of France is the chart of yesterday. Really something very critical. Critical for France and for the people of France very much, because the ascendant ruler of the natal chart, the two ascendant rulers, Jupiter and Neptune, are in the 8th house, the house of revelation, the house of death, the house of secrecy, the house of occultism, the house of death and rebirth. And also, Jupiter, who is ruling the ascendant, the nation, the country, the people, is invisible, secretive, invisible, hidden in the rays of the sun. Again, putting the people, the nation, in a very vulnerable, from all points of view, situation. And this particular Jupiter is the key factor in yesterday's event, symbolic, important event, which has very much of a very karmic importance, because the Rahu and Ketu on the transiting chart of yesterday are squaring the Rahu and Ketu of the natal chart of France. So here we are talking about a very, very important key event that was karmic, that had to happen. Now, also, Jupiter, we said, is a main player in this. Why? Because we said, and I have a separate video on this, you may see it, that Jupiter in the very last degrees, ruled by Saturn of Scorpio, is having the role of reviewing truth, of revelation, of justice, freedom, anything. And Jupiter came here on the natal Saturn of the natal chart of France. Saturn is the government. Saturn is the rulership. So Jupiter came to bring some sort of justice, to make sure that the natural awakening, the natural spiritual awakening of the people will take place. And I'm connecting all this with these demonic entities of the cathedral that are in fire right now, or maybe the fire is under control, but still Jupiter, the benefic planet, the one that is bringing the most lofty spiritual, philosophical knowledge, studies, spirituality, information, came and made conjunction with this particular degree in Scorpio. Also, you know, and also I mentioned this in my other analysis, that the conjunction of Saturn, Pluto, and Ketu in Sagittarius is a fiery conjunction. And this is, if you follow up, actually somewhere in the 70s, there was a very big fire which took place in America when this particular conjunction took place. So fire, revelation, rebirth, a new spiritual road for the French people. Truth may come out. facts that the government may not like. This all can be possible after this particular symbolic cleansing fire which took place in France yesterday. So with this, I'm completing my analysis, and I will be very thankful for your comments.